Hello guys. So taking into consideration that you people will be having more of conceptual and analytical kind of questions in your next, and because I want you to do the next level preparation, we have already done with a long series of clinical case scenarios and my heartily blessings for you all, and I feel blessed up that you people cooperated with me and you like that series so well. So I have come up with another series in which I'll be discussing the conceptual and analytical questions. So let's start with the concepts and analysis series, and this is your case number 1. So this shows a 5-year white boy who presents with difficulty in seeing the blackboard at school. So this boy who is having the difficulty in looking at the blackboard, that actually is suggestive that this patient is having the myopia, right? Now, upon examination, he is also found. See, they have already told you that he is highly myopic. Highly myopic, that to a 5-year-old boy. So, you have to think something pathological. Yes or no? Because, what is the normal age of emetropia? If I talk about the emetropia, because every child who is normal is hypermetropic at the time of birth. How much hypermetropia? Hypermetropia is your +2 to +3 diopters, and they become emetropic by the age of 5 to 7 years. So you are not going to expect high degree of myopia in a normal child at the age of 5 years. So this child who is having highly myopia, so we are thinking of some degenerative disease or some pathological disease which is leading to high degree of myopia, right? Now what they are telling you, now they must suggest you something that what disease you should think of. So they are saying that it is short of stature and has short stubby fingers with broad hands and right joints. Which of the following is most likely? Now look at the options here. We have prone to angle closure glaucoma, aggravated by the administration of pilocarpine, or it is prone to angle closure glaucoma aggravated by the administration of cycloplegic. See, normal looking parents, and D is higher risk of lens dislocation with the minor trauma. Now, you can answer these questions only when you come to know that what actually the patient is having. So this patient is having high degree of myopia, short stature, short stubby fingers, broad hands and the joints. So what is this actually? This patient is having a unique syndrome which is called as the Weil-Marchesani syndrome. Now, nowadays these syndromes are more and more important because syndrome means involvement of multiple organs, and somehow when they will be asking you more and more integrated questions, I think directly or indirectly they will reach to a syndrome, because if a person is involving 2 or more systems at a time, more likely is that he or she will be suffering from any syndrome. So this Weil-Marchesani syndrome is autosomal recessive. So obviously there will be no normal parents. Parents will not be normal because it is having a genetic inheritance, autosomal recessive. Now this is one thing. Now, why I'm saying that this is this? Because of the short stature, the typical type of fingers, joints, and myopia. Now, what is happening here? We are having, if I talk about per se in the eye, so we are having certain anomalies that we are expected to find in this Weil-Marchesani syndrome. That is your microphakia. Then we have the microspherophakia, we have microphakia, we have got microspherophakia, and we also get the ectopia lentis. We also get the ectopia lentis here. Now try to see what are these. Either I am saying it is microphakia or I am saying it is microspherophakia. Now what do you mean by phakia? Phakia means the lens. So there is some congenital anomaly that is present in the lens. Micro means small. So either I have small size lens or I have small spherical lens, or I have small spherical lens. Now if I have a smaller lens, I have a spherical lens, then what are the things that can happen? Now try to understand. This is your eyeball, okay? This is the iris here, the ciliary body, and instead of this biconvex lens, I am having a kind of spherical lens. So what can happen now? This spherical lens is actually leading to shallowing of this area from which the aqueous humor has to pass here. Aqueous humor has to pass. Now what if I consider the option number 1? Let's see the option number 1. They are saying that it is prone to angle closure glaucoma, which can be aggravated by the administration of pilocarpine. Now let us try to see what will happen if I give pilocarpine here. We all know that pilocarpine is nothing but a miotic, right? And what happens in the angle closure glaucoma? We already have a shallow anterior chamber which is precipitated by the miotics. So what will happen? Due to this, the pupil will further be smaller size. So pupillary size will further be decreased, and not only this, it is also coming, very, very close because of this spherical shape of the lens. Because what happens if you look, okay, if you look in the anterior chamber, right, suppose this was your lens. So normally this was the iris present, okay, this was the ciliary body, and normally this lens is present, but this was okay. But now I am having a smaller and a spherical lens. Now can you see, if I am having a lens which is smaller as well as spherical, then this is going to obstruct this area like anything. So it is obstructing this area because that smaller spherical lens is outrightly obstructing the pupillary area, and this is going to cause the pupillary block. So when it is causing this pupillary block, what will happen? This will lead to the collection of the aqueous. This will lead to the collection of aqueous behind the lens. This will lead to the collection of aqueous behind the lens, and therefore we can have the precipitation of angle closure glaucoma. So the statement number 1 seems to be correct, but yes, as I always say that it is, analytical kind of question. You cannot come to the answer before seeing all the 4 options. So I will have to see the other options also. So this was about your option number 1. So I have said that yes, this statement is correct, but whether it is answer or not, I will decide afterwards. Second, they are saying that they are prone to angle closure glaucoma, which is, precipitated or aggravated by the administration of cycloplegic. Now first try to see what will happen when you give a cycloplegic. Whenever I am giving a cycloplegic, right, what it is doing, it is actually leading to the paralysis of the ciliary muscle. It is leading to the paralysis of the ciliary muscle. So if this muscle has relaxed, this will actually lead to the tightening of the ciliary zonules. This will lead to the tightening of the ciliary zonules, and if there is a tightening of the ciliary zonules, what will happen? This will cause the thinning So this will lead to the decrease in the thickness of the lens. This is leading to the decrease in the thickness of the lens. So if there is a decrease in the thickness of the lens, there will be no risk of angle closure glaucoma. So that means the statement number B is false, because what happens when you have, in cases of the accommodation, okay, when you have the other way around. So in the cases of accommodation, one thing we always study, that during accommodation there is actually the contraction of the ciliary muscle. During the accommodation, we have what you called as the contraction of the ciliary muscle. Now due to the contraction of the ciliary muscle, there is actually the loosening of the zonules. So these zonules get loosened, and due to this, now what is happening, there will be change in the anterior ROC. Change in the anterior ROC of the lens. So this is changing from 10 mm to 6 mm, while what was happening, the posterior ROC. While if I talk about the posterior ROC, it remains 6 mm only. Okay, so there is no change. This is what was happening during the accommodation. So there it was increase in the thickness of the lens. So when there is a contraction of the ciliary muscle, actually what is happening? Then there is increase in the antero-posterior thickness of the lens. Then we have the antero-posterior thickness of the lens. That means during the cycloplegia, when we are having the paralysis of the ciliary muscle, we cannot have increased risk of angle closure glaucoma. Okay, now go back to the question now. That means your this option does not seems to be correct. Now come to the option number C, normal appearing parents. No, we cannot have normal appearing parents. Either one of the parents at least will be affected, because this is a genetic disease, autosomal recessive. So that means one of the parents have to be affected. Then other important thing is higher risk of lens dislocation with the minor trauma. Now again, this statement is wrong. Now here the patient has the probability of the lens dislocation. It is one of the anomaly which is associated with the ectopia lentis. It is one of the anomaly which is associated with the ectopia lentis, but it is not associated with the minor trauma. Ectopia lentis means we have the abnormal position of the lens. It is the abnormal position of the lens. And what happens, there are so many congenital anomalies which are associated with this ectopia lentis, which are responsible for it. For example, if I talk about the one which is most common. So the most common is the Marfan syndrome. Then we have got the homocystinuria. We have got the homocystinuria. We also have the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And then the fourth that we usually write in a list also, that is your Weil-Marchesani syndrome. So actually it is a cause, one of the congenital anomalies which are associated with the ectopia lentis, but it is not associated with the trauma. While if I talk about the trauma is actually the most common cause. It is the most common cause of the subluxation of the lens. Subluxation of the lens. So trauma is actually associated with the displacement of the lens, or the subluxation of the lens, but it is not associated with the cases of Weil-Marchesani syndrome. So having discussed and critically analyzed all the concepts about the Weil-Marchesani syndrome, we have come up to the conclusion that option number A is the most correct one. that this boy, 5-year-old boy who was having the difficulty in seeing the blackboard, he was highly myopic, short stature, short stubby fingers, broad ends and the joints, the most likely thing is that he'll be prone to angle closure glaucoma aggravated by the administration of pilocarpine. So I hope you have understood. You have understood the approach, how to deal with these questions, what is the meaning of concept-based and analytical kind of questions, because you know this is a new kind of questions that you're going to get not only in your next but also in the coming NEET, because in the days to pass by before your next, they are showing you the glimpse of the next. They are giving more and more clinical based scenarios and these kind of a questions. So let's not, why not practice it from here itself? Let's remove that fear of these kind of a question. So I'll try to give you more and more concepts and more these kind of a questions, so that you are daily practicing such kind of questions and you do not have any fear regarding this. Do let me know, how do you like this session, how often do you want this session, and what are the other things that you want me to do so that we can help make a edge in our ophthalmology preparation. Thank you and happy ophthalmology.